So we are back with another how I edited this video. The last one I did of these went down well, so we're going to give it another go. But as previously, if you've not seen the film off of which this video is going to be based, it's linked below. Pause this, go and watch the film first, which is up on the channel, and then come back to this. So a bit of context before we start. This film was shot in Croatia a couple of months ago now. And it was a party. It was a crazy wedding. I've shared a little bit of a teaser previously. I've shared the full film the other day. It was a brilliant wedding to be part of, but there was so many like little elements that needed to go in the film and that I wanted to put in the film. There was a big entrance for the groom at the start of the ceremony. There was obviously the bride's big entrance and the bridesmaid entrance that the bride had highlighted to me as like important moments for her. There was the fire dancing when they got to the meal, the reception. There was the pool party later on. They had a sax player. The stepdad did a haka. There was so much going on, and I really struggled trying to gel it all because I wanted to include it all. But obviously they had this underlying, really touching relationship at the heart of it all, and they weren't super soppy or lovey-dovey, but they had their own way, and I wanted to get across what actually turned out to be really intimate and personal vows and emotions for each other, but also at the same time all these crazy party elements. So it was a tricky one, but I think I pulled it off in the end. So I'm going to take you into the film, critique it a little bit as I'm playing through it, and show you a little bit of the edit choices that I made. So I've got my timeline up here as well as the film, so that you can actually see the kind of choices I made. There is a few cool little edit techniques in here. There's some sound effects, there's some tweaks with the audio, there's some transitions and visual decisions that I made that make sense to the story that I'm going to explain as we go through. So I'll get started and play it. But as with all my films, this was shot on my Sony A7S, mostly with the 55mm 1.8 f1.8 Zeiss lens that I use all the time, and obviously my second camera was on a wide angle on a 24mm, but I've used that sparingly in this edit. Most of the footage you'll see here was handheld on my 55mm on my Sony, and there's a bit of drone footage in there as well.
I've chosen to couple with this guy because
bit of a Love Island reference for anyone watching. I suppose in the US as well, Love Island's over there now, but yeah, I'll start that again because I like this. And I knew the bride would find this funny, so I've opened with this piece of audio.
I've chosen to couple with this guy because he asked me not to put that in.
And then it fades into the titles and some scenery shots from the beach where they had the ceremony. So I'm actually going to pause it here. There's a faint there is a faint sound of rustling that you can hear just here when this the thing's flapping about in the wind, and there's a bit of a sound effect here. And as you can see, if I can zoom that in, this sound effect that I've got here that I found online, and it's actually a sound effect of someone wafting a bed sheet. I found this bit of Foley audio of someone smoothing out and wafting a bed sheet, and I was looking. I used a flag sound effect. It sounded too abrupt and too loud, and I just wanted a nice subtle wafty kind of sheet noise, and the bed sheet worked perfectly.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to this lovely occasion. For whatever reasons, be it the perfect aligning of stars, we all meet here today for this very joyous occasion. After 4 years, 3 houses, 2 dogs.
That is the officiant, who is also the stepdad of the bride. Now, again, going back to sound effects here, this is a Final Cut Pro, just a stock sound effect in Final Cut called Crowd Waller Party, and it's just basically a background noise, crowd chattery kind of sound effect that I've included in here. So I'll go back there.
Lovely occasion.
As you see,
For
clips
whatever
of
reasons,
guests
be it the
chatting away.
perfect aligning of stars, we all meet here today for this very joyous occasion.
You've got a bit of a background noise of them chattering and laughing, and it's obviously it's not sound from the actual day. It's just a sound effect that I found, but it works rather well.
After 4 years, 3 houses, 2 dogs, 1 proposal, 7 trips to
You
Croatia.
can actually see the Sony TX650 there on the mic that I've used to pick up the efficient.
Here we are, watching Jimmy and Charlie
Drone shot.
become husband and wife.
That was obviously a drone shot. So the tracks used here.
I knew from the second I saw you that you were the one for me, and there is nowhere else in the world I would rather be than here with you, in our favourite place, with my favourite person.
The tracks used I will link in the description below. They're both from Music Bed. This one is Monument by Beta Radio, I think they're called, and there's a track by a group called Vesky used later on, which you'll hear in a minute, and I'm really liking their stuff at the minute. I've used it quite a lot. But yeah, so far fairly standard stuff. You can see in the timeline here I've got the soundbite from the groom's ceremony here underneath, so that's him doing his vows, and then over the top of that I've just got some B-roll clips playing throughout, and I've got my black bars at the top here, the letterboxing.
You are my best friend, my partner in crime, and the love of my life. You've shown me a world I didn't know existed, and I'm truly the luckiest man in the world
asking about the
that I've been able to experience
TX650s
it with you. You are beautiful,
in outdoor
and the life and soul of the
situations
party,
because of wind
but more
and
importantly to me,
etc.
you are caring, compassionate, honest, and kind. I can be myself with you, I
And as
can
you can
confide
hear
in you,
here,
and always know.
as you can hear here, this is just straight out the TX50. Outdoors, it was a bit windy, and I think it sounds fine. Now, this moment here was of particular importance to the bride. The groom and the boys arriving on a boat. You can sort of make out them there arriving on the boat. So that moment,
And always know.
it's not the clearest shot, and to anyone else watching it doesn't. You don't. It just looks like a scenery shot, but the bride will see that and be like, "Oh, that's the entrance." So I transition from here, the last moment you see of the bride getting ready, to the boys arriving. That would.
I can be myself with you.
That was
I can
important
confide
to
in
include.
you, and always know I can rely on you. I can also now admit, after seeing you in your wedding dress, that I am the one who is punching.
Now I actually had.
Since the day I met you,
I was
my
quite
whole world
obscured.
you taught me how to really love someone.
During the bride's walk down the aisle, the photographer just walked straight in front of me, so I lost that shot. So as you can see here, I've just kind of skipped over it. I've shown him waiting, and then
My whole world changed.
Then
You
she's
taught
there,
me how to really love someone
because I just
and what
didn't
it's
have
like
it,
to
but-
be loved back.
it's amazing you think that is an essential shot that you need to include, but they didn't miss it. Straight into confetti.
You came into my life like an unexpected storm, claiming you needed help with your marketing.
And then here I've just used again a bit of that crowd, as you can see here, that crowd noise sound effect, the background noise of crowd chattering. I've used that to transition between the two songs, because in a second
You came into my life
We
like
go
an
into the next
unexpected
track.
storm, claiming you needed help with your marketing, throwing me off guard completely, stealing my heart and my side of the bed. You spent the past 5 years fixing all of my broken pieces, rebuilding my confidence and trust, making me feel such incredible happiness that I've never really felt before. You encouraged me to start my business, and I've
Now this was the bridesmaids' entrance and the bridesman entrance to the ceremony, which was quite lively. It was a moment that the bride had choreographed previously. This is my dog just done. That's what I'm doing with my hand. So that the bride had choreographed this dance, and it was important to her. She was like, I really want, make sure you capture the bridesmaid's entrance. But because it was quite like the crazy, the Prosecco and the dancing down, it didn't feel right to include earlier on when there was the more intimate song and the more intimate vows. So I've waited until the second track kicks in, and then I've kind of gone back to that moment, and it just kind of fits with the
happiness
music.
that I've never really felt before. You encouraged me to start my business and have supported every decision I've made, the good, the bad, and the really, really stupid. I promise to love you unconditionally in sickness, health, and when you eat gluten for the rest of my life. There is no one else I would rather have by my side in everything I do. Not one part of my life would make any sense without you in it.
And here we start the fire
I would rather be
dancing
nowhere with you.
element. So they arrived at their reception venue where they had the meal to a load of fire dancers. Now I struggled with this for a while. I wanted to transition this effectively, and in the end I just went for a cross dissolve, which you can see here.
No one else I would rather have by my side in everything I do. Not one part of my life.
And I've used the audio of the fire, the kind of noise, to help transition that in. I like this shot.
Would make any sense without you in it. I would rather be nowhere with you than anywhere without you.
This piece of audio, the Welcome to Charlie and Jimmy's Wedding, they had that made especially, so I had to use that. They gave me the file, I used it in the film.
I would just like to wish you both the most eternal happiness. You are the perfect example of opposites attract.
This is one of the best men.
Charlie, the socialite, versus Jimmy, who hates people. He loves dogs, and he wouldn't even acknowledge his own next door neighbour. Charlie, the mad one who always misses the last train home, versus Jimmy, the calm, patient one who is always on hand the next morning to collect both cars. But something that is very obvious is the love you share for each other and your closest circle of friends. And this is something I'm honoured to be a part of today, and something I will not forget in a hurry.
Obviously the TX650s again to pick up the audio for the speeches.
I wish you and Charlie all the happiness in the world, and you now get to spend the rest of your life together.
Okay, so this is the hacker that the stepdad performed, who also was the officiant from earlier. And again, like, where do I include this? I wanted to include not only his hacker, but the sound, the audio from it. So I've ended up using it over this part of the other best man's speech, and just layered the two. But it took a while to kind of, I've obviously dropped the volume level of that down so that it doesn't override the speech. It took a while to get the balance right, but I do feel like it works overall.
I wish you and Charlie all the happiness in the world, and you now get to spend the rest of your life together, making many, many happy memories. Big up the Humphreys family. Just
quietly there, the hoorah, that hacker, the Indian hacker, that kind of. And then obviously the music, the speeches fade out there, and the music fades back in, and then it drops.
Family.
Drops down here to allow the audio to come back in.
At one point in my life, I was very angry at Disney for installing such ridiculous expectations
and that was
charming that swept me off my feet and would change my life. And at one point, I'd given up hope until I met James. To my surprise, my prince did not ride in on a horse. But when that man drunkenly performed his version of the worm, the slug, in my living room at 4 AM, I knew my...
So that was the first clip there that I've slowed down. So I've filmed this at 50 frames a second, all this night do footage. And this clip here
my living room at 4 AM
has been slowed down 50%.
In my
just to drag. It was a cool shot, but there just wasn't enough of it. Basically, I didn't film it for long enough, so I just dragged it out, and it kind of worked.
At 4 AM, I knew my prince had arrived. James, you are my entire world.
Well, some of this footage here with the flaring that you see is shot with a prism. So I had a piece of glass against the lens that had to get those kind of shots.
I knew my prince had arrived.
Adds a bit of
James, you are my entire world, and every day I spend with you, I go to bed feeling like one of those princesses that finally got the man they always dreamed of. So would you please raise your glasses To my husband, he's loads of fun and he's 5'1". The funniest, handsomest, most perfect package
Audio
in the
clips a
room.
little bit there. And obviously ending on the pool party here, so that music that kicks in there is actually just the sound, sounds straight out of the camera from the night do. So whichever song is played. Just to end on, just to take you into that kind of last moment where they're splashing about and the lads are chanting along to the song, and then what I've done, obviously this last shot here, they're splashing about, and then I pan the camera down and down and down until you've just got the water. Now I did that intentionally on the night. I filmed that shot and I was like, this is going to be my ending shot, so I filmed them and then I pulled the camera down until you just see water. And then in my head I was like, when I shot it I was like, this is going to be my ending shot. But what I've done in post is I've bladed the speed here at this point, so I've let it play at normal speed up to here, and then at this point I've slowed it down to 50%. So just as the sound, the music's fading out and the shots fading out with this cross dissolve here, it just kind of slows down to half speed, which I'll just play that there. And the water just slows down and it starts to take on that dreamy kind of quality as it fades out. And it just extended that clip an extra second or two and just kind of faded out nicely. But again, like I say, I've got a few bits of audio here put together from just straight out of the camera from the evening do of them splashing about, and then I've used another stock Final Cut Pro sound effect called Underwater, which if I just turn all that off, it's just like a kind of underwatery sound, but blended with everything else as you're kind of panning down past them. The music fades out slowly and the underwater sound effect fades in, and coupled with like the shot moving down, it's like the camera's taking you underwater and away from the scene, and it's kind of a nice transition into the ending. So I'll just play that all through again.
From my entire world and every day I spend with you.
But I spent a fair bit of time just getting that ending right. I feel like it's a nice way to end the film and pull you back out
one of those princesses
into reality, if you
that
will.
finally got the man they always dreamed of. So would you please raise your glasses to my husband?
Slow-mo shots.
He's loads of fun and he's 5'1". The funniest, handsomest, most perfect package in the room.
And then pan down. And then it slows down to 50% speed, fade to black. I'd recommend going into the actual film on my channel and watching that moment properly, because that I was quite proud of that kind of little ending. It's that just, it's something that is a small little tweak that isn't really necessary, but I just thought it was a cool way to end it, and it does add something. It does. So yeah, that was it was just such a bonkers wedding. I think there was loads. So, but that's the thing. It's like it had everything. There was loads of great moments. It was abroad. It looked amazing. The couple were good looking. The light was great. They had this crazy party. They had the fire dancers, which looked really cool. They had the pool party. It all looked great. And it's kind of what you dream of every week. You want every week to have amazing content to be able to film, but at the same time, with so much great content, it was like, how am I going to put all of this together because they were all very individual elements, like the fire dancing, the pool party, the personalised ceremony on the beachfront. They're all completely. It's not like they married together easily. So it was just like, I've got all this stuff to use. It all needs to go in. How am I going to blend it all together? But I think what I used on this film more so than anything is there's audio, as you can see here, underneath the magnetic timeline. There's audio running right through. All of that is audio files. So there's not really much time in the entire film where there's just music and visuals. There's an element of audio at the start, then it goes into the stepdad and officiant welcoming everyone to the venue, and then there's the groom's vows, then there's the bride's vows, then there's the best man speech, and there's the other best man speech, and there's the bride. There's kind of audio running all the way through, and there's no let up really from that. But actually, I feel like if you've got the content and you've got good emotional audio content from the speeches, from the vows, readings, etc., the more of that you can cram in, the better sometimes. And I'm not saying just use it willy-nilly, but if you can find a place for all of it, and you've just got audio after audio after audio, and there's kind of like there's a 10-second break, then there's another speech. The more of it you use, the more of the story you can tell, the more of the story you get across, the more personalised it becomes. The more you get a feel for their personalities. You've got like the couple themselves and the two best men and the officiant, the stepdad. There's like 5 or 6 people there, all describing the couple and describing their personalities in their own individual way, but they're all painting the same picture more or less. So it really like, it just kind of, the more speeches you've got to use, as long as the content's good, the more you can get across their story. Hope you like that video. I hope that gave you a bit of an insight into this film, being able to see the timeline and some of the choices and the edit techniques that I used. I'll link in the description below the link to the film. I'll name the tracks that I used in the film, and I hope it was helpful. Like I say, go and check out the full film. This was the second how I edited this video. It's kind of tutorial that I've done, and if you liked it, let me know. I plan to do more, so if you want to see more of these types of videos, let me know in the comments. So thanks for watching. As ever, I will see you next time. I've got a light here, and I've got a light around with, which is weird. I don't use lighting at weddings, so this is kind of new territory for me, but let me know if it looks good, if I look good.